Hi there! It's a holiday here in Ireland, and we have had the most spectacular weather in the last few days. I feel like I'm back in South Africa and I live 30 seconds from the beach. I am so blessed and so grateful. The heat is amazing. So we're hoping this lasts and that finally in Ireland we can enjoy a great summer. So I hope wherever you are, you're having a lovely day and just enjoying life. But what I wanted to pop in and say today is just a quick chat. Last week I had a talk about my journey with social and general anxiety, and a few things came up after giving that talk from other people, their input, and on reflection, I think there's a few things that I would like to address. And for the rest of the week, I will be addressing a few ways to manage what I will be talking about, and we'll take that just a little further. But one of the things that's really, really important to know is social and general anxiety. It can be genetic, and there are many forms of anxiety which can come about through post-traumatic stress disorder. As I said, it can be genetic. It is something that can arise for a certain period of time and then can go with or without treatment. A lot of general anxiety and a little temporary social anxiety can come up in the teenage years, which I think as an adult we can see for obvious reasons as a teenager becomes much more self-aware, and this generally passes. But I can only speak for myself that the anxiety from a very, very young age was social and general anxiety. Now, the thing that I want to highlight here is growing up and until the age of 34, I didn't even know what this was. I suffered crippling and debilitating social and general anxiety until the age of 34 after visiting a doctor. I didn't know, even as an adult, what this was. I thought it was my personality. Do you know the great relief when I realized and was told that this was not, anxiety is not a personality. It's something I was experiencing that was crippling my life that could be treated. Do you know, I walked away that day feeling over the moon that this thing I had been living with for 34 years was not me, and that it could get better. This was the first inkling that things could improve for me, and I never looked back. I'm 48 this month, so I have had 14 years of working on myself and enjoying freedom from that crippling anxiety. So the thing I want to highlight here is anxiety is not a personality. I'm sure I was labeled, if you like, as being very shy, a little introverted, and all of those things were not actually true. I was just struggling with debilitating anxiety. So a lot of parents, and even as I said, this is something I only realized at the age of 34, which is actually pretty tragic and unnecessary. So what I want to say is, for parents or teens or children, anxiety doesn't always present itself as one would maybe expect. The child, and even me as an adult, couldn't come out with the word saying, I am feeling terrible anxiety and I don't know what to do. There are so many symptoms that surround this disorder, if you like, or this experience. And it can be very hard for a child, a teenager, and an adult like I was to actually name it. So it is very, very important. And what I would love to see to save other people going through what I did for as long as I did is to be able, with your children or whoever you come across, or for yourself, is to look at the symptoms of what you're feeling And so for me, from a very young age, I had serious heart palpitations, absolute fear and panic and distress at all situations. Um, Things like speaking on the phone, going to a supermarket, going to school. Then it led into the teenage years, and I had written down a few words here in case I forgot. It's like completely irrational fear because you know it doesn't make sense. And the thing is, when you're younger, you think it's just you. I just thought, well, that's my personality and that's just the way it is. I got to live with it, which is so wrong. I did myself such a disservice. But that's the thing. I want to help people from going through that same thing. Again, anxiety is not a personality. And it's very important for when you're with your children or teens or even other adults. Like, I mean, I'm sure there are many adults older than me who don't even realize what they're going through. So to tune into your bodies and just to think, at any given time, like everybody experiences anxiety. It's absolutely normal. We need it. It's part of our it boosts the adrenaline so we can perform better, or it makes us run if we need to, if we're in danger. So that's normal. But when anxiety takes over your life and becomes completely overwhelming and is debilitating, then it's not okay. And I'll tell you in a few minutes why, which I know you know anyway. But the thing is, tuning in, saying and asking your children if it seems like they're anxious or nervous about something, is like, what are you feeling and where are you feeling it in your body? And they find it much easier to say, well, I'm feeling like really queasy in my tummy, or my heart's racing, it's going really fast. I'm feeling really hot, my hands are a bit shaky, I feel a bit weak, that type of thing. So tuning into and then putting a name on that. It's not I am anxious, I am experiencing anxiety. So you're becoming the observer of the emotions. And that way, the child or the adult also can see that they are not the anxiety, but they are experiencing a wave of anxiety. And that way they can detach from it and it's not them. So it's less gripping on them then. So when you become the observer of the emotions, it's much easier to let them go and see them, as we say, the emotions, they come and go, they rise and fall like waves. And then they can say, oh, well, it's not me, or give it a name. I now call mine Basil. I wish I had that name years ago. I would have kicked his sorry ass so badly. But give it a name. I am feeling in my body, I'm feeling tension. Or a child might say, I just don't feel right. My head feels fuzzy. And then you can give that a name. So long as they know, it's like if you're saying your child is angry. Well, that's not a personality. So you're not saying, oh, well, you are an angry child, just like, no, you're feeling anger, but that doesn't mean you're an angry, horrible child. You're experiencing it, and we all do, and that's normal. So it's about normalizing it, because also when you're a child and you're feeling these overwhelming, awful, sickening emotions, you feel very isolated, and you feel like it's like you're labeled with it. But if you give it a name and can say, I'm feeling this, I'm experiencing this, it becomes separate to you. So you're not labeling yourself as being inadequate, isolating yourself, not being good enough, being faulty, something wrong with you. That's really important. I'm sure there's many words I haven't even remembered to say, but the really important thing here is the importance of labeling your emotions, even as an adult. I will be doing a workshop on emotions and how mindfulness can help. And so maybe you want to tune in or check out one of those, but it'll also be available on my website from the end of June. And it's all of these workshops, they're really helpful for adults and for children. You can just adapt them. But the reason why this is so vitally important is because when you come to those teenage years, and this is where I speak from experience, and I'm sure it's much worse these days, as I said, when I grew up, so that would have been like, I was, well, 48 now, so you can do the maths. When you get to those teenage years, when you cannot cope, but you think it's just you are going to look for coping mechanisms. Now, unless that individual is guided and nurtured how to handle and what to do with these emotions, and instructed and helped, they are going to discover and find for themselves, more than likely, unhelpful coping mechanisms. How many teenagers do you know are going to grab the meditation cushion and say, or Mom, I'm going for some of them might, a long, nice, peaceful walk so I can just release my feelings and be at one with the earth. You're probably not going to hear that. They're probably going to turn to the bottle, which I did. Okay, not severely, but drinking was most definitely my coping mechanism. But you can see where that can lead to. If it becomes a habit and you know it's constantly helping you cope, well, you can see where that could lead to. It could lead to destroying somebody's life. Again, totally unnecessarily. And this is why I'm passionate about this. You could see now another person could turn to drugs, and much more easily and possibly likely these days. And that is just devastating, and again, could be totally unnecessary. But there are so many other, which I'm sure I'm not even aware of, maybe thankfully, unhelpful coping mechanisms. And that child or that teenager or young adult is going to turn to those unhelpful coping mechanisms unless they have the tools and techniques in place to understand themselves and how to cope with what they're experiencing. And that's why I am passionate about this. I do not want to see one more person have to struggle unnecessarily. And I have all the tools and techniques. My anxiety, it hasn't vanished. It's in me. It's part of me, but I manage it very, very well now. And I have overcome so much that I want to empower others. And I'm really, really passionate about this because I just don't want to see anybody suffer. Life is too precious and there's too much fun to be had out there. That's what I just want for people to have. And I want them to have the tools and techniques that they can live their happiest, fullest lives. So you can see how if these things aren't dealt with when a person is young, then they can lead to unhelpful coping mechanisms. And you have a much less chance as a parent or caregiver of getting through to your 18 to 21-year-old, if they haven't got these skills and grown with them, to know what to do and how to handle themselves and know themselves. So I guess the point of this is to make people aware that you are not your anxiety. Anxiety is not a personality trait. It's something that one experiences. It can have devastating and debilitating beyond belief consequences if not dealt with professionally in a nurturing and positive way. Watch out and be in tune and teach your children and other adults and teens to be able to label and name their emotions and know that they are not their emotions. They're an experience that we all experience and ways to deal with them. And again, you can visit my workshops or my website if you want to find out all those fabulous techniques they're life skills that can take your child or an adult to a level of being where they are so happy and in who they are, and in doing so they will be so much more of an asset to society, and that's what we want. We want everybody to be happy, loving individuals who contribute to building a happier, safer, more loving and nurturing, compassionate society. But if we don't, there are many individuals, as I said, through PTSD, like genetic anxiety, which I have experienced. And if they aren't given the right tools, the consequences are debilitating. And we need to help those people. And we need to educate ourselves and them to nurture a society where this unnecessary pain and struggle does not have to exist. So in the next few days, I will make another few videos, and I'll include in one of them a few techniques that really I wish I had known when I was a teenager. It would have transformed my life. And I'll share some of those techniques with you. And yeah, I'll come up with another bit of content, which I'm sure will be useful, maybe tuning into the emotions and that type of thing. So I hope you'll join me then. In the meantime, have a lovely evening further, and sláinte from the west of Ireland. Bye.